Good evening to the participants of the SLW-722. Karibu sana. Welcome to my virtual class. Please read what I posted on the screen.
What are the three principles of CEDAW? Welcome to the students of SLW-722 to the virtual class on the 24th April 2023 from 9:10 p.m. to 1.
Yes, it is now compensatory class, and CEDA we are dealing it conventions built on the three functional principles: non-discrimination, number one; number two, state obligations; number three, substantial equality should be there. Non-discrimination is integral to the concept of equality. What are the functions of the CEDA? The CEDA function is to establish tribunals and other public institutions to ensure the effective protection of women against the discrimination and to ensure the elimination of all acts of discrimination against the women by persons, organizations, or enterprises. And that is the CEDA means Committee on the Elimination of Discrimination Against the Women. What are the powers of the CEDA committee? The terms, the committee mandates a very specific, it watches over the progress for women made in those countries that are the states parties to the CEDA and monitors the implementation of the national measures to fulfill the state parties' legal obligation under the convention. That is the main purpose of the CEDA, that is the Committee on the Elimination of Discrimination Against the Women. Now, up to this extent, we dealt in my last class, and I put my asterisk marks 3 and now remove it. The CEDA stands for
Convention on the Elimination of all forms of discrimination against women.
Yes, that is C for committee, and the E means elimination, O of off, D means discrimination, A means and, W means woman. So it's a body of independent experts that monitor the implementation of the convention on the elimination of all forms of discrimination against the women, and it is adopted by the United Nations in 1979. CEDA is the most important human rights treaty for women. The CEDA committee, consisting of 23 independent experts on women's rights from around the world. Earlier we saw the committee of experts, generally 18, but here we will find 5 more. States that ratify the convention are legally obliged to what the state should have to oblige. Number 1, eliminate all forms of discrimination against women in all areas of life. Number 2, small bullet, ensures women's full development and advancement in order that they can exercise and enjoy their human rights and fundamental freedoms in the same way as men. And the third bullet, allow the CEDA committee to scrutinize the efforts to implement the treaty by reporting to the body at regular intervals. So CEDA is a special committee under the socio-economic organ would be there that will play, and this report should be sent to that organ. Countries that have become a party to the treaty means the member states or the state parties must submit regular report to the committee on how the rights of the conventions are being implemented. When they are the member to the treaty, member to the conventions, how far they have protecting the women's right. During its public sessions, the committee reviews each state party report and address its concern and recommendation to the state party in the form of concluding observations. The SIDA will see the report of the each member states and they will make the suggestions and concluding observations based on their report submitted to them. Now we can say that all rights like a man. What is meant by all rights like a man? What did you understand?
Person.
I repeat the question. All rights like equal rights to women also. What it means?
Or human beings are equal.
Yes, where the discrimination comes.
The discrimination comes in on the part of sex.
Yes, that is true because woman is a female and man is a male.
Yes.
Discrimination comes in the employment. Discrimination comes in the education. Discrimination comes in the health. Discrimination comes in the decision making. Discrimination comes in the profession. Discrimination comes in the culture. Discrimination comes in the nature of the work. When it comes to the casual labor, generally the men will be paid more and women will be paid less if it is a physical work. If it is a mental work,
all should be paid equally.
as far as the mental work is concerned, there should be equal pay. For instance, now many multinational companies recruiting the IT experts in their fields, either hardware or the software, where the mental work is more and hence the payment is equal for the both the male and female. But when the matter comes to the pregnancy is concerned, now instead of giving the 3 months, they are giving the 6 months, but it is restricted to the 3 issues only. Otherwise, every year 1 issue, only 6 months duty, 6 months rest. Are you following me?
Yes, Prof.
At that instance, and such a discrimination should not be there in the employment, in the education, in the payment, in opportunities, including that I told you in the last class, women's are police force, yes. Women's are pilots, yes. Women's are doctors, yes. And you told me, sir, women also a prime minister. Or a president.
The presidency too.
Yes, both. In India, we say the Prime Minister and here we will say the President because in India is a parliamentary type of the government and in other countries like Tanzania, presidential form of government. So, such a discrimination should not be there. In accordance with the optional protocol to the convention, the committee is mandated to and they made receive their communication from individuals also. A protocol made it, they will receive the information from the individuals or group of individuals submitting claims for the violation of the rights protected under convention to the committee and initiate the inquiry into situations of grave or systematic violation of women's right. Because no state will show their own weaknesses where they fail to give justice to the women or in other sense they are discriminated in some of the fields. At that instance, the individual or the group of individual or organization can bring to the notice of these committees SIDA to inquire into the grave violations happen in the particular state. At that instance, SIDA will take care of it and will send their own team to investigate and inquire, and they will send a detailed report to the highest body. The highest body, UN Secretary, Council, or the Assembly will take the action. These procedures are optional and are only available where the state concerned has accepted them. But generally, all the states should have to accept the protocol, that is the optional protocol. Otherwise, it is the restriction in the freedom of speech and expression. In each state, their constitution will allow them for the freedom of speech and
Freedom of speech
and expression.
okay, expression. Good.
EXPRESSION. So the committee also holds a day of general discussion and formulates the general recommendations. These are suggested and these are suggestions and clarifications directed to the state that concern article or the theme in the conventions. If the state party will violate the norms and the conventions protocol. So now the committee meets twice a year in the New York, because this committee is based on the charter, not based on treaty. Is it clear?
Okay. Yes.
If it is based on treaty, they will meet in Geneva. If it is based on charter, they will meet in New York, which is the headquarter of
USA.
UNO.
UN, United Nations.
Yes, yes. So the work of committee. The SIDA treaty is a tool that helps women around the world to bring about change in their daily life. Otherwise, women are restricted to kitchen. So, what do you say, chuani? Is it?
Yes.
In countries that have ratified the treaty, SIDA has provided invaluable in opposing the effects of discrimination. They are not restricted to the kitchen. They should be allowed in the daily taking the declarations and decisions in the any aspect of life, including the family, which includes violence should not be against them, like the domestic violence and poverty. They will be given a chance to earn their livelihood if they are educated. After studying the medicine, after studying the IT, after studying the law, if they are only restricted to the kitchen, then what will happen to their potentiality? You are curbing the potentiality of a woman. A woman with the potential, even though they are not studied, but they are good in the traditional medicine, traditional work, and the traditional handicrafts, allow them to do so. And the lack of legal protection should not be there. You should be provided the legal protection to work in environment, in such an environment where the men also there. But women are restricted to work in certain area. That area is called mining area, that to be underground. Is it clear?
Yes.
In the underground, women are not allowed because there is so much heat would be there, and the people, those who are working underground, they are only in chupi. Is it clear? Because of the heat, they go to the tap and they will take the bath and come again they work, because to protect the heat from there. So along with the Daniel of the inheritance, now inheritance they are equally entitled. Even a child born out of wedlock also will be eligible for the inheritance of the property. Is it clear?
Yes, Prof. It is.
Even the property rights and access to credit also. But a woman who is not validly married, and she will not be entitled for the inheritance. Is it clear?
Yes, Prof. It is.
The treaty has contributed to the development of, yes, one after another you read the four. Read to one person, read to another person.
Citizenship rights in Botswana, in Japan. Inheritance rights in Tanzania.
Yes, second person. Yupo.
James.
Yes, sir.
Read, which I highlighted here.
Proper right and political participation in Costa Rica.
James Masawe, you are supposed to sit on the peak of a Kilimanjaro because your frequency or the signal strength is weak, and I'm hearing the breaking voice. So the property rights and the political participation in the Costa Rica, the CEDAW committee also fostered adoption because they observed citizenship rights are somewhat curtailed in the Botswana as well in the Japan. And when you come to the matter of the Tanzania, inheritance rights are somewhere curtailed because of the traditional things. And the property rights and political participation in Costa Rica also, they did not follow the CEDAW conventions. So the CEDAW committee also fostered adoption and see that those things should be eradicated. And a law on a gender equality in Mongolia. And in Mongolia, there is no equality would be there. Hence, they made it, there should be a gender equality in the Mongolia also. In the earlier India, a woman will not be allowed for the school. A girl will not be allowed for the school. But now, the girl students are topper than the boy students in the education. So the law in Rwanda prohibiting sex-based discrimination in access to land. So Rwanda, they are following a man will get the more share and women will get the less share, and such a discrimination would be there. But when matter comes to the Muslim law, their matter is entirely different. A man will get the 2 portions and a woman will get the 1 portion. The justification is that the father will spend a lot of amount for the woman or the girl, and they will give that amount in the marriage itself. Hence, the burden of the woman will be relieved to taking care of their parents as well as those who are unmarried. That is the reason and justification given over there. But in Hindu law, even though she got a lot of property after the marriage, she was having the equal right in the property. But when the matter comes to the taking care of it, they will be excluded. When the matter comes to the maintenance of the parents and the children, those who are not married, it is a burden to the male child. So it is no justification there. Of course, it depends upon the school of thought. So domestic violence laws in Turkey. In Turkey also there are more violences would be there. Nepal, South Africa, and the Republic of Korea. And there they found the violences against the women. Even in India also the violences against the women are there, and the special laws are prepared, enacted over there to see that equal right should be given and protection of the women. So that was the thing which is happened there. But in India also they are making such a law that same-sex marriage should be prohibited. Are you following me?
Yes, Prof.
In the same-sex marriage will be conducted. What about the pregnancy?
It can't happen.
And hence it should be banned, abolished. And when the women are less, men are more, at that instance, what will happen? But now, women's are scarcity would be there. So, now the question comes over. At that time, a woman can have the two husbands. Are you following me?
Yes.
A law would be changed because law should be there for the smooth running of the society. So a society, when it changes, law should also change with the same pace, speed, PACE, pace. Now, legislation criminalizing all forms of violence against the woman in Burkina Faso and femicide in the Panama, because when a woman would be there in the pregnancy, the girl will be aborted. That was the practice in Saudi Arabia also earlier, but now it is prohibited there also, because getting the pregnancy, it's not so easy thing. It is a miracle of the God. What miracle of the gods are? Everyone is there, make the everyone woman as a pregnant. Okay, there are men also there, those who cannot make it out. You ask them, they will give the reason. A national inquiry into missing and murdered indigenous women in Canada and anti-trafficking laws in the Ukraine and Moldova. So, trafficking also done most of the places where the girls will be transported to other countries in the form of employment, but they can be used for the flesh trade or the prostitution. But they will taken for the household works, but later on they will be exploited. So these are all the things would be there against the women, and hence the SIDA will take care of it to see that equal rights and equal protection should be given like the man will be given. So, in addition, in response to the SIDA committee's concluding observations, China took measures to curb cases of non-medical fetus sex, that is identification and sex-selective abortions, to change the stereotype leading to son preference, and Sri Lanka introduced gender-responsive budgeting for the rural economic development projects. Now, with the ultra-virus test, you cannot suppose to say the fetus is a male or a female. If any doctor says, and his license will be seized. Is it clear?
Yes, Prof.
What did you understand? Can you tell me?
When the doctor says that the fetus is male or female, then his license will be taken away, because
the reason is the female is a matatizo, burdensome. Male thinks it is a not burdensome. But in reality, male is a burdensome and the female is a not burdensome. Is it clear?
yes.
It is the woman who will take care of more parents than the man will take care of the parents.
Okay.
The committee continues to work to protect the right of women around the world. Which committee? SIDA. How many members? 23 members. They come under the which organ? Special organ of socio-economic cultural. It is based on conventions or the charter. So the Committee Against the Torture, CAT, C-A-T. And the Committee Against the Torture within parenthesis CAT is the body of 10 independent experts. Now the independent experts are reduced in the CAT. First we saw the 2 or 3, the 18. Next we saw the SIDA 23. Now we saw the 10 members expert committee would be there, and the monitors the implementation of the Convention Against the Torture and other cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment by the states parties. What the state parties will do it, they will make it out. I don't know, national training or national security is compulsory in Tanzania?
Yes.
If a person wants to get the employment, he has to undergo the military training for 1 year.
Yeah, yes, it is that way. That the law provides that.
So everybody is following. Did
after-
you undergone the training?
No, in private sectors it isn't so compulsory.
Government sector.
It isn't so compulsory.
Suppose if you want to become a Balozi, if you want to become a minister, they have to undergo the national training.
Yeah, you just go in there and then you in the constituent, and then you are voted for. You are elected a member of parliament. Then the president chooses you, appoints you to be a minister. That's all.
But no necessity that you should be do the national service for 1 year or 2 year.
It isn't so.
In Asmara, Eritrea, it is a mandatory. Only those who are studying, they will be exempted. But those who are not studying, they have to undergo the military compulsory training that is called in the terminology Sava, they say. And in English, conscription, yes, something like conscription. A compulsory training would be there. The military training. Only they will be allowed to do the job. But there also, the women will be tortured. Even the girls will be tortured, what we heard it. But at that instance, any human rights organization will bring the notice in the Sava. They are trying to combing it from the market and taking away without giving the reason, and later they will inform to the parents. So when the combing action is going on, nobody would come out in the market because they know the combing is going on by the military. All state parties are obliged to submit regular reports to the committee on how the rights are being implemented. Yes, because the report should be sent to them and they will see the report and say whether the protocol they are observing it or not, the convention they are following strictly or not. State must report initially 1 year after acceding to the convention, then every 4 years they have to send the report. In the beginning, 1 year report, after some time later, they are the 4 years once they have to report. The committee examines each report and addresses its concerns and recommendations to the state party in the form of concluding observations. Yes, after the going through the report, the SIDA will make the observations, concluding observations, and they will say that do like this, do like this. Even they will try to give the suggestion to that in your constitution, this amendment should be done, or a special enactment could be enacted. So in addition to the reporting procedure, the convention establishes 3 other mechanisms through which the committee performs its monitoring functions. The committee may also, under certain circumstances, will consider the individual complaints, as I told you, is the optional protocol, or communication from the individual claiming the rights under the convention has been violated, undertake the inquiry, and consider the interstate complaints also. The 3 mechanisms. Individual complaints, they will accept it, and they will undertake the inquiries also, and they will third is consider interstate complaints. If any interstate complaints are there from one state to another state. The optional protocol to the convention, which conferred into the force in the June 2006, created a subcommittee on the prevention of the torture, SPT, within parentheses. There is a subcommittee on the prevention of the torture. Thus, SPT has a mandate to visit the places where the persons are deprived of their liberty in the state parties. When the state parties are there where a woman or a girl will be tortured, at that instance, the special committee will go and make the inquiry and submit to the SIDA. As of 2015, the committee holds 3-4 weeks sessions per year in April, May, July, August, November, December. Yes, in the 3 times in a year they will make the inquiry, which were subcommittee, SPT, subcommittee on the prevention of torture. The committee also publishes its interpretation of the content of the provisions of the convention known as a general comments on the thematic issues. Even they will make the issues should be highlighted and bring notice to the general public at large in the particular state. For more information about the work of the Committee Against the Torture, of course, CAT fact sheet is there. Even there is a videos also there, and you can observe it, you can watch it. The work of the committee. The convention has inspired the new national laws and helped to put in a place important protection mechanism and raised awareness about the needs, the right of the victim. Suppose the constitution doesn't have such a provision to stop the torture of a woman, they will make the suggestion to change the article of the convention, and they will try to see that a new provision will be made in the already enacted laws. An important protection mechanism, they will make it out in the domestic laws, and they will try to make the awareness about the needs and the rights of the victim. And however, torture continues to plague all regions of the world with a devastating impact on the individuals and communities. Yes, whenever a good country is there, advanced country is there, and a developed country is there, and people try to take the opportunity and try to exploit the chances. So universal ratification and a full implementation of the conventions are the key to the future of the committee. If every state party would follow the convention, all the norms, and I don't think that any committee would be needed and take care and inquiry against the state, because state will make all the protections to the women from the torture, and discrimination will not be there. People need to be able to trust their institutions of justice, and the government need to protect human rights instead of opposing people. They try to protect the human rights, and we are not supposed to oppressing the people's voice. Torture has no place in the peaceful, equitable, and sustainable future we are striving to build. When you want to build a peaceful society and a peaceful, sustainable future, and there should not be any act which will disturb the peace. And together we spare no efforts to banish torture, protect people, and bring torture to the justice. Those who are victimized, they should be compensated, and a rehabilitation should be done to the victims. Next, the Committee on the Rights of the Child, that is called CRC, and it will try to protect the rights of the child. The Committee on the Rights of the Child, within parentheses CRC, is the body of 18 independent experts and monitors the implementation of the conventions on the rights of the child by its state parties. Those who are members to the CT conventions, and this committee will see that how the child will be taken consideration. How many years a child education is free in Tanzania?
From the primary school,
No secondary school?
and the secondary school from Form 1 to Form 4, and somewhere in the Form 6 also.
What is
Form 5 and
advanced
6.
level? O level.
Passa?
O
O
level.
level. O level and A level.
Yeah.
Yes.
O level means secondary.
O level means the ordinary level. That means from Form 1 to Form 4.
A level.
A level means the advanced level. Form 5 and Form 6.
If you want to apply in the CHUO university, What level should be needed?
O level.
Not A level.
Even A level too is considered, but with the TCU they rely on O level.
Okay, means eligibility from the O level.
For TCU, that's what they want.
Okay, it also monitors the implementation of the two optional protocols to the conventions, CRC, and the involvement of the children in armed conflict. The children should not be used for the armed conflict. The children should not be taken to the conscription or draft for the training of the military to how to use the AK-47. And on the sale of children, they should not be made, and child prostitution could not be encouraged, and child could not be used for the pornography, and all this OPSC, OPAC, that is child prostitution and child pornography, will be banished or banned. On 19 December 2011, the UN General Assembly approved a third optional protocol on communications procedure, OPIC, which allows the individual children to submit complaints regarding the specific violation of their rights under the conventions, and its first two optional protocols. The protocol entered into force in the April 2014. Either the woman or the child used for the prostitution, or the child used for the pornography, or the child used for the torture, or the child used for any type of the oppression, and that will be bring to the notice of the convention, to the notice of the CRC, and the CRC will take into the consideration, and they will try to punish the person who did their wrong, perpetrator. In other words, all state parties are obliged to submit regular reports to the committee on the implementation of the convention. State must submit an initial report 2 years after acceding the convention, then periodic report every 5 years. In the beginning 2 years they have to make the every year, but after the few years later, every 5 years, once you have to send the report to the higher body or the committee. The committee examines such a report and addresses the concern and the recommendations to the state party in the form of concluding observations. In the form of concluding observation, the committee will make the recommendations. Even I told you that committee also make the recommendation to domesticate the municipal law. So what is the age of minority according to the international instruments?
18.
Completion of 18 years.
Yes.
But in marriages, as per the Law of Marriage Act, in the Companies Act, they give the different age. 15 years, somewhere in the Muslim law they say, if a girl reaches the puberty, but the puberty generally 15 years, they make such a thing. But now they say every law should have to follow the completion of the 18 years is the minority. And even for the fixing the marriage also, it should be the more than 18 years, the girl, and the more than 21 years, the boy, means completion of the 21 years. So all states are obliged to submit the regular report, they have to make it out. And for the beginning 2 years, they have to make it out every year, but after it, the 5 years once, they have to make the report, and the committee will make the concluding remarks or observations. The committee also reviews the initial reports must submitted by the states who acceded the first two optional protocols of the conventions on the involvement of the children in armed conflict, of the sale of children, or child prostitution and child pornography. Of course, the committee will take all the precautions to see that the protocol should be followed, like a OPAC, OPSC protocols, OPIC protocols, that they should not be used for the pornography, they should not be used for the sex, they should not be used for the armed conflict, and the grave and systematic violations raised in the convention had the two optional protocols. The committee meets in Geneva and normally holds 3 sessions and per year, because CRC they will not meet in the New York. They will meet in the Geneva because the CRC come under the treaty based. They will make it out. So the working committee, they will work on it. The provisions, the general comments, they will make it out. They will send the report and they will give the suggestion to the state. Even if necessary, the committee will send the inquiry members to see that any violations of the child will be done or not. The committee on the protection of right of all migrant workers, even migrant workers also, they will see the SMW, and there are 14 independent experts would be there. All the experts will they see the work, whether they are implemented the instruments in a proper way or not, and they will try to be examining the reports of the state parties and making recommendations on the topic of the migrant workers and members of their families in the state, depending upon the articles of the convention which is made there, 73 and 74. And these also the committee will try to make it out. And the committee is meet in Geneva normally the 2 sessions per year because it's the treaty based one, this migration committee. And the working committee is more than 280 million people, including the migrant workers and refugees, asylum seekers, permanent immigrants and other live work in the country. And the term migrant worker is defined in the Convention of the Migrant Workers Article 2. And a person who is to be engaged for has been engaged in a remunerated activity of the state which he or she is not a national. So such a person is called a migrant. Of course, the convention, we see the report and they will give the advisory bodies. And the more information about the working committee, we can find it in the migrant workers and the fact sheet also. The convention requires the right of the migrant workers in the irregular situations, a member of the families who are frequently exploited and face a serious human rights violation. The committee is mandated to monitor how state protects the implement of these rights through its worker. It's aimed to improve the lives of the migrant workers and their families. So next, the subcommittee of the prevention of the torture and the cruel, inhuman and degrading treatment punishment, SPT, also one of the committee. And this committee also work to see that the torture and the cruel and the human and degrading treatment should be punished. And the SPT established following the treaty, the optional protocol, Convention Against the Torture, and OPCAT, and adopted in December 2002. General Assembly of the United Nations entered the force in the 2006. The SP2 has 2 primary operations over there, and it is the advisory function involves the providing the assistance and advice to the states parties to establish a national preventive mechanism, and the OPCAT, the work the state party regarding the working of the NPM, that is the national preventive mechanism, would be there. The SPT produced a public annual report in the activities which it presents the committee and torture in the UN General Assembly in the New York. So the worker committee will be also, they will give the advisory.
Mungu ibariki Afrika, wabariki viongozi wake, hekima, umoja na amani. Hizi ni ngao zetu Afrika na watu wake. Ibariki Afrika, ibariki Afrika, tubariki watoto wa Afrika. Mungu ibariki Tanzania, dumisha uhuru na umoja wake kwa waume na watoto. Mungu ibariki Tanzania na watu wake. Ibariki Tanzania, ibariki Tanzania, tubariki watoto wa Tanzania.
Asante sana na sikiliza mimi darasa online. Mungu akubariki na kukulinda.